This video is going to be pretty awesome to discuss and talk about. Yo, what's up? Your boy Dynasty back with another Mortal Kombat 1 MK Uno video this Saturday afternoon. This is more of a follow-up video from the one I posted Thursday night. If you missed that video, essentially, Interloko, one of the most trusted sources when it comes to data mining the Mortal Kombat 1 source code, the files in the game behind the scenes, discovered not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, but eight roster spots that more than likely are being saved for a future Kombat Pack DLC. Now, unfortunately, we don't know who those 8 DLC characters are. We don't know if all 8 of those characters are Kameo fighters, if all 8 are for the main roster, if it's 4 cameos, 4 main roster. We have no idea on the set amount of numbers when it comes to breaking down where these characters are going to end up. All we know is at this point in time, there appears to be 8 DLC character placeholder spots in Mortal Kombat 1. You sticking with me? I break it down in that video a lot better than I think I'm doing here, but I'm gonna try my best. So since then, late last night, yesterday, Interloko dropped another bombshell. He posted a 12-minute video dubbed Massive Deconfirmation in some candidates for the next DLC. And in this video, Interloko starts off with a bunch of fan-favorite Mortal Kombat characters that you guys, the community, have been asking for. And slowly, as the video goes on, many of these characters disappear. And what you end up with is what you see on the screen right now. Now, I understand you're probably sitting here scratching your head like, I don't understand why there's 2 different images in this backdrop. One says possible cameos, another one says possible characters or cameos. One says max 7, one says max 6. Dynasty, what the hell's going on? Okay, so I'm going to try my best to explain this the best way I can. At this point in time, 2 of the 8 upcoming, again, not confirmed, but it seems like upcoming DLC characters appear to be guest characters. And again, I must stress, we don't know if both of those guest characters are going to be main roster characters, if it's going to be split, one character as a cameo, another on the main roster. We don't know all the intricacies of where these guest characters are going to end up, but regardless, 2 of the 8 are going to be guest DLC. You feel me? So that leaves us with 6 characters that, again, we don't know how those 6 will end up. They could be cameos. They could be main roster fighters. So I keep saying that because I don't want you guys to think that I'm saying 8 main roster characters confirmed. We do not know. Okay. Now, on the image you're looking at here on the top left, you can see possible cameos. These are all characters that could potentially end up being cameo fighters. Blaze, Cassie Blade, Dagon, Suhao, Jade, Jarek, Cobra, Kodokan, Mocap, Nightwolf, Triborg, and Hanzo Hasashi Scorpion. Now, I know what you're saying, Dynasty, how the hell did Interloko even come to piece all of this together? Truthfully, I don't know. In Interloko's video, he mentions how he runs filters, and when he's running his filters in the game source code, the files, that's how he came up with not just the first list on the top left, but the second list on the bottom right as well. So 2 different tests were ran. The first one on the top left gave us all the possible cameo characters we could end up with. And also, if you're looking closely, you can see on the top left, 3 of those characters have a green box around their names. Those being Blaze, Cassie Blade, and Cobra. Now, from what I can tell and what I can gather is that what that means is based on the files that Interloko's discovered in the Mortal Kombat 1 source code, those are standalone characters that aren't sharing a roster spot with anyone else, aka they got some pretty decent chances in comparison to the others who don't even have like a standalone file. Now, if you look on the bottom right, you can see some of those characters like Triborg and Nightwolf, Suhao and Jarek. They're in yellow, sharing 1 yellow box. That means those characters are sharing a DLC slot, which means you're probably going to end up with either or. But again, we'll talk about all that in just a second. So On the top left, you have all those possible cameos. I know you're probably also scratching your head and wondering, Cassie Blade? Why Cassie Blade? Well, according to Interloko, he believes that the Major Blade name drop in the Chaos Reigns expansion actually isn't for Sonya Blade. It was actually Cassie Cage. Or in this case, Cassie Blade. Now, obviously, this isn't 110% confirmed, but we talked about it the day the Chaos Reigns expansion dropped. I think the day after. If you go over to the concept arts, you can see World War II Johnny standing alongside what I thought was Sonya Blade, but according to Interloko, he thinks that's probably actually Cassie Blade, not Cassie Cage, the daughter of Sonya Blade, and that timeline that they're coming from, which would mean that this is still giving us Cassie Cage, which has been a DLC character that we've been talking about since the day the game came out. If you remember, the only other upcoming potential DLC characters that we have that are not confirmed but had some type of files found in the game's source code belong to Cassie Cage, Kung Jin, and Jade. So Cassie Blade kind of falls into the leaks that we've been talking about again for over a year now. So there you go. Here is a list of characters that could become cameos in the future. Again, Hanzo Asashi is also here, but unfortunately Interloko forgot to add him in on that box there. He had Frost, but then ended up removing Frost because she's already a cameo fighter. So the first test gave us all these possible cameo fighters, and honestly, I'll give my quick thoughts on them. Blaze is interesting just because, well, it's Blaze. Blaze has only ever been playable in like 2 games, if you even want to consider him a fully fledged character in those games. But with the cameo roster not necessarily being canon, I mean, that's one way to get one of the big bads of Mortal Kombat in this game without needing to make it make any sense from like a lore standpoint. So that would be cool, I guess. Blaze just coming out and throwing flames, doing scorpion-like things. There you go. Cassie Blade we just talked about. I'd imagine that's just Cassie Cage using different gadgets like she had back at MKX. Dagon's interesting. You know, we're getting some of that Armageddon storyline through Chaos Reigns with like Orin and things like that. So honestly, really wouldn't be a bad idea to kind of bring Dagon back first as a cameo character, because it's been a minute since he's actually been in a Mortal Kombat game, fully fledged playable character. Cameos are cool because it's a way to reintroduce a lot of these older, obscure, low-key characters that a lot of the casuals probably don't remember or forgot about. So honestly, this one didn't shock me as much as I think a lot of you guys might be shocked. So yeah, Dagon's on that list. Then we get Su Hao. Now, I've been clamoring for joke cameo characters since they first announced the whole cameo system. I wanted to see Draman do the club across the screen, throw projectile flies across the screen, do weird shit, right? And I guess if I'm not gonna get Draman, Su Hao kind of fits that bill. You know, he's got the clap move where he gives you the clap, pause. One of the funniest 3D era animated moves ever, literally. Just, he claps his hands and like wind just flies from his hands and knocks down the opponents. He also has like the pink orb that he throws out, the projectile. He has the Kano laser from his heart. There's a lot you could do with this character who's never been taken too serious. And again, they were saying they were gonna put these weird, wacky, obscure cameo fighters. I mean, the weirdest of them all is Su Hao. So, you know, for the meme potential alone, I can kind of get behind that. Then you got Jade, who I'm still hoping ends up being a fully fledged playable character because, well, Chameleon already has some Jade as a cameo in that slot, so, you know, would kind of be a waste. Jarrek's also interesting. We've not seen Jarrek in a long time, so I really can't complain about this one either because I know some of you guys actually love Jarrek. You know, for you, he's not just the Mortal Kombat 4 meme with the ending. He's actually a character you miss, and like Dagon, these cameo characters are a nice way to kind of reintroduce a lot of the forgotten low-key characters. We recently just got Movado. Movado's kick-ass as a cameo, so why not Jarrek? I can get behind that as well. Then you get Cobra. Now, Cobra obviously is part of the Ghostface DLC character, so does that affect the chances? I'd say probably a bit, given the fact that Cobra quite literally is doing cameo assist moves in Ghostface's gameplay, but I guess never say never. For you Cobra fans out there, you could have 2 Cobras if you're using Ghostface and Cobra Kameo, potentially, maybe. Kotal Kahn! I miss you. Kotal Kahn is one of those characters from the modern era that I miss so damn much. If he ends up being a cameo character, I think if you go back to like the Mortal Kombat X days, the whole like Blood God variation where he had all these different buffs depending on the totem that he would bust out. It was like a crystal totem, I think it was a blood totem, and I think it's obsidian. And each one of those totems had like different buffs for the character. And I think that's honestly a pretty good idea as a cameo character. Bust out Kotal Kahn, obviously he'll probably have like his, you know, his spiked club as a, you know, ambush attack, but also having the ability to give like different totems for different buffs. I think that'd be kind of cool. So I can get behind Kotal Kahn making a comeback. What about you? Next up, we have Mocap. And again, just like Suhal, I don't take this serious. I mean, he would clearly just be a meme cameo, and they promised them meme obscure cameos. Mocap would be just tossing white mocap balls across the screen and doing the swan kick, the swan dive, whatever they called it, like the backward, the flip, the scorpion flip kick. He would be doing that. Lights, camera, action, mocap. Why not? I don't think it's gonna happen, but if it did, holy shit, that'd be hilarious. Then we get Nightwolf, which is an interesting one because if I'm not mistaken, I've been hearing rumblings, I believe it came from the Thinny, mentioning that if we do get Nightwolf, it might not necessarily be the Nightwolf that we're used to. Might be just like the mantle of Nightwolf. It could be another gender swap, which is kind of also alluded to at the end of his Mortal Kombat 11 arcade ladder ending. So in that regard, I'm intrigued to see if they spice it up a little bit and kind of make those alterations. I mean, new era, new Nightwolf. How does it get pulled off? For that reason alone, I'm intrigued. Obviously, as a cameo character, he can call down the thunder. He could do the reflect. He'll have his tomahawk projectiles. A lot of variety of Nightwolf. So from a gameplay standpoint, I'm all in. Character standpoint, I'm all in. He's gender swapped. I won't be the happiest, but fuck it. I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess. Now, lastly, we get Triborg, which I think is so odd when you consider that, well, you already got Sektor and Cyrax as cameos. Why the hell would we need Triborg? That would leave us with, what, Smoke in Cyber Sub-Zero? That one kind of confused me because it's just like, why? Same thing of like Hanzo Asashi. It's like, you already have Scorpion as a cameo. Why another one? So those last two I kind of, you know, scratch my head on, but maybe you guys can kind of give me your thoughts on that. So yes, again, this was the first test that was done. Those are all the possible cameos that might end up in an upcoming Kombat Pack 3 DLC. 6 out of the 8, because 2 are going to be guessed. Now let's make our way to the second test on the bottom right. Again, this one is also potential cameo fighters, but also potential main roster fighters as well. You can see some of the previous characters we mentioned on the top left are now gone. When looking at the image on the right, pretty much the top 2 rows are all the potential upcoming main roster, yeah, not just cameo, but main roster 2 characters that you might end up with Mortal Kombat 1's DLC. Blaze, Suhao, Jade, Jarek, Cobra, Kotal Kahn, Nightwolf, and Triborg. Now, if this ends up happening, 6 of the 8 here, because again, 2 of the 8 are going to be guessed. Woo! I don't even know what to say other than I would kind of be shocked because these are definitely some interesting choices. For starters, Nightwolf as a main roster character in back-to-back games. Never say never. What? I mean, we've had repeat DLC. Remember, Rain was DLC in Mortal Kombat 9, then he was DLC in Mortal Kombat 11 for a long time. People said it could never happen, so back in the day, I would say you're tripping having back-to-back games of a DLC character repeat, but hey, Nightwolf's on there. Again, with Triborg, I'm kind of just scratching my head, like, maybe as a main roster, it's just a third all-new variation that we've never seen before. Maybe it's Cyber Sub-Zero, it's Smoke, and Hydro. Something like that. If they kind of give us an all-new cybernetic ninja, with a new moveset, I can kind of see that potentially being a nice excuse to bring back some more of those ninjas. Again, would not shock me if it was like a gender-swapped pink ninja named Floyd. Part of Triborg. Crazier things have happened. So funny enough, they're sharing this spot, potentially, this 1 of 6 roster spot. So you're getting either or. And because I feel like they probably wouldn't repeat the same DLC in back-to-back games, I'm kind of shocked to say that. I guess Triborg would make more sense than Nightwolf? Crazy shit, man. I can't believe I'm saying that. Now, if we make our way to the remaining cast, we have the other 6. Blaze, Suhao, Jade, Jarek, Cobra, and Kotal Khan. Now, in the bottom left, you can see Suhao and Jarek, again, seemingly sharing a roster spot together. You're getting either or. And honestly, out of the two, I'd rather see Suhao. Just because the meme potential, I feel like Suhao is at least a bit different in comparison to Jarek. That's kind of more like a Kano clone. Do not crucify me. It's not that deep. I'm sorry. But we already have Kano as a cameo fighter. You already have Ghostface doing the cannonball Kano move. If we have a third character doing that, it would be kind of OP, I think. So because of that, I'm going to say Suhao. So Triborg and Suhao. To me, that's kind of making the most sense, and I can't believe I'm saying that because before yesterday, I would have never thought that either or would even be part of the upcoming DLC, but here we are. So with those 4 grabbing at least 2 slots, that leaves us with 4 characters remaining, and all of those 4 characters have their own spot, thankfully, that being Blaze, Jade, Cobra, and Kotal Khan. And again, the one character that I think from this group that makes the most sense to be featured is Jade, just because she's had those intro dialogues, I want to say against Natara, since the day the game came out. So for me, Jade's a lock. We have pretty much everyone but like Jade and Scarlet on the female side of things, so I need to see Jade. I would be shocked if it didn't happen. Boone was asked about like fan demand characters and things of that sort. He mentioned that he's aware of the fan demand for Jade, so I'd assume it'd be like MK11 Melina. I would be shocked if it did not happen. So yeah, Jade I think is a lock at this point. Next up, I guess we'll talk about Kotal Khan. Again, I said he'd be a perfect cameo fighter, but if he was a main roster fighter too, I think that would be perfect. Again, I love this dude. I think he's got a unique playstyle with the totems. I think with the actual club moveset as well. I fear that a lot of that club moveset might be given a Conan, so that kind of scares me and leads me to think that if anything, he'll probably be a cameo fighter, doing all the different totem stuff. But again, this is just my preference and speculation. So long as he doesn't fight exactly like Conan the Barbarian, I don't see why you couldn't have 2 brutes on the roster like that. So I hope it happens, but we'll see. I think the safer bet's probably a cameo. That then leaves us with Blaze and Cobra. Now, Blaze has not really been a fully fledged character, if you want to call him that, since I'd say Deadly Alliance, where even then, I mean, he did have, I believe, 2 or 3 different fighting styles in that game, but he was a secret character, which is unfortunate. So despite having the different fighting styles and being unlockable, never really felt like a real character, in my opinion, ever. Going to Armageddon as well, he's just a boss character. So in my opinion, it would be nice to see this guy that was once back in the Mortal Kombat 2 pit stage with Hornbuckle doing the cameo. I think it's been a long time coming for Blaze to be reintroduced as a character in the modern era. I think there's a lot of potential there, so I, again, can't knock it too much. If he is a cameo fighter, I hope it's him as like a boss though. I think him doing the classic roly-poly Fred Durst move across the screen would be kind of funny. A gigantic rock doing the Melina roll. You can't beat that. How do you avoid that type of ambush? It is what it is, so we'll see what happens with Blaze. And again, Cobra is just so weird given the fact that we now have confirmation one of the Ghostfaces for Ghostface's Cobra. So the idea that you could have main roster Cobra and cameo Cobra, 2 Cobras in 1 character is kind of OP. I'd say probably better off being a cameo fighter, but again, he's essentially a cameo fighter in the Ghostface moveset, so it just kind of feel like a waste. How do you differentiate Cobra when his trademark moves are already given to Ghostface? It would just kind of seem like a waste unless it's a complete overhaul and reintroduction of the character. So we'll see what happens. Maybe this time he's more like Ken Masters than ever. We'll see. But yeah, there you go. That's a rundown of potentially Mortal Kombat 1's Kombat Pack 3 Can't believe I just said that. Again, this is coming from Interloko. I highly suggest watching the full video because he starts off with a bunch of fan favorites and slowly knocks them out. Again, I don't have the actual method and formula on how he ended up with these characters. All I know is he ran not one, but 2 different tests, and these are the characters that remain. So take that for what you will. Obviously, things are always subject to change, but given the track record and Interloko's pretty spot-on credibility, I don't think he's too far off. So guys, that is all I got for y'all today. If this becomes the Kombat Pack 3 in some capacity, what do you all think of this? Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Of course, subscribe for more MK content like this on the channel. Till next time, been your host, Ben Dynasty. Guys, please take care, stay safe, have a great weekend. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
On it crack, but I'm not superstitious. Count all these racks, I be steady, count on my digits.